need to pin down the 4 traits of toxic slime. Redirecting off-task behavior. Students wandering off. Students gazing out the window. Students opting out of the learning. Students distracted by the smallest interruption. Teachers need a quick way to redirect students back to the learning so that we can keep the density of learning up. In the moment, it helps to reconnect with the purpose. Why are we even here during this 50-minute class? What should the students be able to do at the end of class? What are they going to be held accountable for at the end of class? Remind them that you'll be doing a check for learning the last 2 minutes of class and that you'll use that information to inform the instruction the next day. By letting them know that each and every moment in class is important to you as a teacher, you can focus the students on their learning. A follow-up question to students is, what do we need to stay on track with our learning if this is our goal by the end of the day? Can we fast track? Have we already met this purpose? Can we fast track, or do we need to slow down? What does this look like in the classroom? Let's stop and refocus on the purpose. Let's take a look at our purpose. Identifying toxic slime before we touch it. This is an important topic. How close are we? Show me from 0 to 5 fingers how confident you feel to choose the toxic slime out of a long list of slime. If we're going to be able to tell the difference between fun slime and toxic slime, we really need to pin down the 4 traits of toxic slime. Another strategy is to adjust the pacing. Often you have distracted behaviors when the pacing isn't just right. If it's too fast, students tune out because they don't understand. If it's too slow, students think they know it all already and they don't have to pay attention. Students might be bored, but lack of understanding of the concept is no barrier to boredom. However, I often underestimated what students could do and already understood. So adjusting the pacing can kind of help me fine-tune that. You may have to deviate from your plan based on the energy in the room. It's important to read the energy in the room. It may be time to shift up to think, pair, share, or independent practice if they're ready for independent practice. What does this look like in the classroom? Let's see if we're ready to level up. For a family of 4 moving to our town, what advice would you give them about sustainable living? Another approach is to use a nonverbal. If it's just a couple of students drifting away, it's most efficient to use nonverbal gestures because you can continue to teach while doing the nonverbals. What it looks like in the classroom. Move closer to the students in question. Put your hand on the individual student's paper, gently, and then hand them the pencil if they're distracted. Or put your hand in their line of sight and then point to the person speaking. If it's another student or another teacher, like a flight attendant, just put your hand on their paper and indicate where they should be focusing. If they're doing a behavior that requires an intervention, you need them to stop the behavior, just put your hand out as a stop sign. Students understand this almost universally. They're usually surprised when you do it, so they stop out of surprise, and then you can point back to where they're supposed to be focusing. And when students are on task, after they get back on task, or if they're currently on task, it's really helpful to use nonverbals like thumbs up, smiling, and nodding yes to encourage them. When to use it? Well, it works best when you're already using a lot of nonverbals in your classroom for positive reinforcement. And it's really important that you would use it early in the behavior. Okay, third strategy, and it's one that really mixes it up in the room. Invite their expertise or perspective. If it's all content all the time without any processing time, students may tune out just as a survival mechanism. When their brain can't take anymore, they tend to tune out. Even adults do that too. And when you see the signs of this in their eyes, that they're drifting away, like when I see it, they're drifting away from me, I take the pulse of all the students by asking an expertise question or a perspective question. What does this look like in the classroom? On your individual whiteboard, what kind of expressions should we use on the AP exam comparison essay for AP Spanish, or what kind of expressions should we not use on the AP comparison essay? This could be a turn and talk. If we have $1 million to invest in our town, what should we do and why? Should we invest in green rooftops? Electric public transportation, tiny houses for the unhoused? What should we do, or something that you think of? You've got 2 minutes to discuss at your table groups how to use that $1 million. Of the 3 approaches to solving the geometry problem, which one would you choose and why? It's important to have some kind of system, though, to gather input from 100% of the students in the classroom, like the whiteboards or some kind of polling system. Thumbs up, thumbs down works too. Thumb sideways, voting. Just make sure that when a kid doesn't give you a response, that you turn to the kid who's not responding and say, I need your perspective on this. Is it 1 to 5? For you, what is your perspective? Just so that they know that you're watching and that you're actually pulling them for their perspective, for their expertise. This then allows them to process the material in a deeper way. Like and subscribe. Also, I'd like to invite you to put one question that's swirling around in your head right now and put it in the comments. This video grew out of a request from the comment section from my previous video, so this really helps me offer content that you want and need. Why do these approaches work? Well, because they're invitations. They're not direct. It's not confrontational. It's just an invitation to come back to the learning. And it's meaning-based. You're reconnecting with the purpose of us being there in the room together as a learning community. It's also human nature-based, meaning when you use hand signals, the human brain is triggered to just respond when you give the stop sign. However, they don't always work in all circumstances. And for instance, if there's a deeper need not being met in the class, for instance, you had a traumatic event happen on school, like yesterday with a student, like nobody's going to focus. You can barely focus as a teacher. The outside demands are just too overwhelming for a student. In that case, sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. You just have to be patient with yourself and the student. And they really work best when you have a relationship with the students. Now, you can simulate a relationship as a substitute teacher by being very friendly and warm with an open curiosity while still kind of demanding the behaviors you need. But if you're a teacher that's with the kids every day, you're building the relationship. And then if it's challenging, more challenging than the redirect can provide, take the student out into the hallway. Stand, put the student behind the door. You're talking to the student, but you got one eye in the class because you're in the doorway, student's behind the door. Find out if there's a need in that very moment that needs to be met. I hope you enjoy these ideas. If you don't agree with me, please put that in the comments. I'm happy to entertain other perspectives. Take care and safe teaching.